Launched 3 weeks ago, Sydney's Olympic bid is in its infancy. According to Dawn Fraser, this region has no time to waste if it wants a slice of Olympic glory.
You've got the facilities, but you've also got the right now to put submissions in to get major international facilities here in Newcastle. They now have to organise themselves into a steering committee and start making submissions to the government to say this is what we've got to offer.
Ms Fraser says the region's distance from Sydney would prevent any major events being held here, but preliminary heats in perhaps soccer, hockey, yachting or equestrian competition could be staged. Already there are proposals to stage whitewater canoeing on Lake Macquarie on a course developed on the Eraring Power Station outfall. Local sporting officials say millions could be spent upgrading the region's facilities to international standard, improvements which would benefit the area for years.
That if, in a sense, we make a bid using the kinds of facilities we've got here, they will certainly need upgrading. So I think it's inevitable that money will come to the region if we get an opportunity to stage some of those events.
But our civic leaders say the benefits don't stop in the sporting arena. Encouraged by the success of the 1984 Los Angeles Olympics and the huge profits from subsequent games, they view a Sydney Olympics in 9 years' time as a goldmine. Chris Barth, NBN News.
Vastly different fortunes for both clubs last year, with Newcastle finishing 6th and South Sydney the cellar dwellers after being minor premiers the season before. But in round 15, Souths found some form before succumbing to Knights' pressure. In 91, the Knights are unbeaten, and a big part of their early season form has been the impressive start from the backs.
We're pretty happy. We're not letting them in for too many tries down the flank, so it's the main aim of the game.
Robbie is aware, however, that Souths have enormous talent despite their lower ranking.
Yeah, they're going to be very hard. There's a lot of talent, a lot of speed in their backline especially, and we're going to have to be very careful and watch them closely.
Another trump card for the Knights has been Tony Kemp, who has copped a hammering from the critics but answered in the best possible way.
Some people have said a few things to me that have dented me a bit, but the best place to show them that they're wrong is on the football field, and I've gone out there over the last 3 weeks and tried to do that, and at the moment I am succeeding, hopefully still will this weekend.
Right from the outset, Sutherland applied the pressure to Australs, and Craig Carter was able to deny them. In the 14th minute, it was Carter who gave away a penalty, bringing down Grant Bard inside the box. But the flamboyant keeper saved superbly the shot of Robert O'Shea. Bard was wide with a shot after appearing to be well offside, and then a minute later he made amends, combining brilliantly with Harry Christodoulou, and the latter made no mistake to give Sutherland a 1-0 lead. BHP Austral's best chance in the first half came from a free kick, with Harold Tredinick just wide with a shot. In the second half, Australs continued to make mistake after mistake, nearly giving Sutherland a 2-0 lead. On the second bad blue, the visitors didn't let the locals off the hook, with Daryl Sharp laying it on for Christodoulou, and he grabbed his second of the afternoon. Stewart nearly pulled one back for Australs with his powerful shot, but it just went wide. And then in the 83rd minute, drama, as again Carter brought down an opposing player in the box, and he was sent from the field. This time O'Shea made no mistake, and Sutherland was safely home 3-0.
Parking problems have plagued the John Hunter Hospital since its opening in January. Even though only 350 of the hospital's 500 beds are in use, demand for all available parking far outstrips supply. Today, the hospital introduced a $2 parking fee in a bid to provide funds for more spaces.
The car parking fee will be used to fund additional car parking at the John Hunter Hospital. We're looking at an additional 200 car parks in the Rankin Park area and another 200 at the western section of the site.
More parking should be available in June, but that was cold comfort to many hospital visitors today.
Stupid. It is. It's really stupid. There's heaps of park. There's no need for it, really.
What do you think about the $2 parking fee?
Not real brilliant, I don't think. I think it's a little bit strange for a new hospital.
Yeah, I thought it was a bit rich. Yeah. The only consolation is that if you're going to be coming and going a few times a day, you can use the one ticket.
It's most likely going to go to a really good cause.
I've been here for 24 hours waiting for an operation on the leg, and they haven't got a hospital bed for me yet. So, and then they have to pay $2 to deliver an overnight bag. It's not the right thing.
Well, I don't think anybody likes a charge being placed upon them, but it's equivalent to what is being charged at Royal North Shore and Westmead and other Sydney hospitals.
At Westmead Hospital, parking will set you back $1, and at the Royal North Shore Hospital, $2. Chris Barth, NBN News.
There was a time when coal ships on the horizon signalled a problem within the industry. These days, the ships are a welcome sight, according to the General Manager of Port Waratah Coal Services, Philip Hughes. He says the Hunter Valley is regarded on world markets as a reliable supplier of coal, and ships are queuing up to take it on board. Today, Newcastle dropped its coal loading charge by 25 cents per tonne to the lowest level since 1982. Mr Hughes said the latest decrease in handling charges was mainly due to continued above-line tonnages through the Port of Newcastle. There has been a 20% increase in the amount of coal shipped through Newcastle in the last year, up from 29 million tonnes to 35.3 million tonnes. Philip Hughes says there is an ongoing demand for coal from our major Asian markets such as Japan, Korea and Taiwan. Queensland's short-term inability to supply coal because of heavy rains has further boosted sales of local coal. But the peak demand is not expected to last. Only modest growth is forecast this year. Jane Anderson, NBN News.
This is the sight that greeted council workmen today. The usually clear water had turned a bright fluorescent green. And it isn't just the water in the pool that has been affected. More than 250,000 litres throughout the fountain system have been polluted. Water Board officials were called to test the water, but it's not the first time a site like this has confronted them. Last week, the fountain at the Newcastle Permanent Building Society in King Street was also the target of vandals. It's believed fluorocene, a vegetable dye usually used by plumbers, is responsible for the green mess. Because of the extent of the pollution, the water can only be treated through the sewerage system, a slow process which will take up to 3 days. To prevent the dye from staining the pool, the system will be flushed a number of times. It's hoped the fountain will be operating by early next week. If apprehended, the offender faces a maximum fine of $20,000.
About 40 Hare Krishna devotees set up the Millfield community in February. They plan to transform the 220-hectare property into a self-sufficient organic farm, complete with accommodation and a school. They also have plans to help the surrounding community.
We'd like to get a mobile kitchen so we can go to the outerlying areas, and whenever there's an emergency, the Food for Life crew can go there and help people. And also we'd like to set up a soup kitchen in Newcastle and Cessnock and wherever there's actually a need.
Hare Krishnas have been meeting the nutritional needs of millions of people worldwide since 1972, as Food for Life pioneer Maharaj explains.
In the Vedic culture, there's a tradition that no one within 10 miles of a Hare Krishna temple should go hungry. Here in Australia, we've distributed, I think, over 2 million plates. Just recently we had a celebration in Sydney, and that's about 200,000 plates every year.
In Cessnock Town Hall tomorrow night, Hunter Region Australians have the chance to sample a free feast of their own.
Well, we've invited the Mayor of Cessnock to serve the first meal and cut a cake, along with the pioneer of the Food for Life, Swami. And what we will do is put on a feast for the whole community. It's all vegetarian, but we're preparing about an 8 or 10 preparation menu.
A little over 2 weeks ago, Mark Sargent was looking down the barrel of a month on the sidelines. But Newcastle boys heal fast, and coach Alan McMahon may have the big prop back on deck this weekend.
Well, he's just recovering from a knee ligament problem, and if he recovers fully in time, well, then there's a possibility he could be used in the match at some stage, but we'll make that decision later on during the week. And there's also Jason Hoogerworth with ligament damage, which is also a possibility.
McMahon says if Sargent is declared fit, he will take the field at some stage. The Knights took the points against Souths on Sunday, but a similar performance might not get them home against the Roosters. The Knights conceded far too many penalties, and the Jack Gibson influence will ensure Easts play the percentages to perfection at the ISC.
A very good side, a very strong side, and they certainly don't give anything away, and we've just got to make sure we equalise on that path.
Sargent's possible return aside, the Knights have named an unchanged side for the clash, with Glenn Miller the only designated reserve at this stage. Bruce McKenzie, NBN News.
You get the outside ones, okay?
Hare Krishnas have been active around Cessnock for some time, but established a permanent settlement in the area near Millfield in February. They've built a temple and set up a vegetable and flower garden, and intend to transform the 220-hectare property into a self-sufficient organic farm with accommodation and a school.
Agriculturally, we are planning to produce adequate crops for our community in the areas, basic things like pumpkins, watermelons, cauliflowers, broccoli, beans, and so on. Also, we plan to plant some reasonable size orchards. One of our very important projects also is to utilise bullocks or oxen for tilling the land.
Animals will only be used for labour and the food they produce, never butchered, because devotees believe in the law of karma.
For every action, there's a reaction. So that is one of our teachings, that if we kill unnecessarily innocent creatures, then we have to suffer a reaction for that.
Vegetarian food plays an important part in Krishna life. Much of the community's work revolves around its production and distribution.
In the Vedic culture, there's a tradition that no one within 10 miles of a Hare Krishna temple should go hungry. Since 1972, we've distributed over 50 million plates of Krishna's prasadam, vegetarian food. Here in Australia, we've distributed, I think, over 2 million plates, and that's about 200,000 plates every year.
Hare Krishnas have fed people in almost every nation. The religion has even been practiced in Eastern Europe and the USSR, and up until recently encountered difficulties.
As soon as the authorities began to see that we were present there, they began to arrest our devotees. And for several years, three or 4 years, most of our members were in jail. They were in psychiatric hospitals, they were in labor camps, etc. And of course, now that perestroika and glasnost has come about, we've actually been recognized as a bona fide religion.
Maharaja joined the movement in 1969. Since then, he's become one of its world leaders, feeding thousands around the globe, never staying more than 3 days in the same place. He's here to help the Hunters Hare Krishnas stage a free feast in Cessnock tomorrow night for locals to introduce their Food for Life philosophy.
Well, we've invited the Mayor of Cessnock to serve the first meal and cut a cake, along with the pioneer of the Food for Life, Swami. And what we will do is put on a feast for the whole community.
Well, here's a sample of what you may or may not try tomorrow night. We've got some basic vegetable curries here, a vegetarian steak, which is like a cheese with a tomato sauce, some butter rice, a freshly baked chapati, and take it from me, they're good. But their work won't end in Cessnock Town Hall tomorrow night. The group hopes to feed the community on an ongoing basis.
We'd like to get a mobile kitchen so we can go to the outer-lying areas, and whenever there's an emergency, the Food for Life crew can go there and help people. And also we'd like to set up a soup kitchen in Newcastle and Cessnock and wherever there's actually a need.
When blasting began on this section of the F3 freeway, it literally sent shockwaves through the nearby suburbs of Seahampton and West Wallsend.
And you get the vibration and then you get the noise. I suppose if you're not aware of it and you're not expecting the blast to go off, it does tend to give a fair few people a good fright.
Mark Bailey says the explosions have shaken his house to pieces.
Up that wall there, right up to the roof, is cracked. The whole base of the shower recess is cracked all the way around the shower recess. The water now leaks through into our hallway, and as you can see, the damage being caused, the timber rotting and the carpet.
His is a familiar story. It's estimated more than half the homes in the tiny suburb have suffered similar damage.
Well, we have cracks in our bathroom, our recess, and the concrete out the back is cracked.
Steps are cracked. Tanks cracked, pathways.
The third bedroom, one of the cornices is completely dropped off from the ceiling right down. It's now sitting on top of a wardrobe.
Inspectors from contractors Abbey Group checked every house in the area for signs of existing damage before the blasting began.
My pre-construction survey showed that I had no damage that they could see, even after the earthquake.
But the company has refused to accept the blame, saying it has stayed within the maximum allowable vibration limits. The Roads and Traffic Authority has also washed its hands of the affair, saying the responsibility for blasting lies with Abbey Group contractors. Residents say insurance companies are unwilling to pay, believing those who caused the damage should foot the bill. A public meeting to discuss the issue will be held at the West Wallsend Workers Club later tonight. Bruce McKenzie, NBN News.
The Electricity Commission turns over more than $3 billion a year, but a new efficiency program is improving on that. Quality Management is a scheme calling on workers, both blue and white collar, to give personal opinions on possible business improvements.
You take away the attitudes of the past, which were confrontation and a reluctance by people to work together.
52 Electricity Commission groups have taken on the idea. At a Raring power station, the changes have been dramatic.
This is saving our company $10.2 million per year.
Ideas are presented about time saving, improved techniques and spending efficiency. A quality management program display is touring Electricity Commission outlets throughout the state.
Youngsters with a penchant for pace are hooked up behind some of the quickest boats in the land in this weekend's racing. Before the young guns hit the water, a rigid pre-race format is followed. A solid warm-up is essential, then a full check of the equipment is made to ensure safety. Then it's time to look after the limbs, and a free hand is given to taping the ankles and at times the wrists. When all the preparation is complete, it's time to drop the green flag and send them on their way. Up to 4 laps of a course designed to provide plenty of opportunities for quick times. In the long run, it doesn't matter who wins. It's simply a case of having fun on one, even if it's flat out.
The sunshine couldn't break the early morning gloom as shipyard workers prepared for their final job.
Today has brought reality home to realise that there isn't an industry, the industry has come to an end.
Hundreds of people came to witness the event, the launch of the $36 million container ship, the Sea Road Tamar.
May God bless her and protect all who sail in her.
Carrington Slipways stopped trading 4 days before Christmas last year, taken into receivership after a series of ill-fated ship contracts.
I feel personally, a great loss. I've been involved in this yard myself for 6 years, but that's no different to the feelings of all those other guys out there working for me. It's really the end of an era, if you think about it.
In January, shipping line A&L contracted on-site workers to finish the Sea Road Tamar. 450 people had been employed at the slipways. 100 will stay on putting finishing touches to the new ship, but within a month the site will be completely closed.
The majority of blokes that have been laid off so far are all on the dole. There's no work in Newcastle or Hunter Valley.
Workers made their feelings clear to the federal politicians present, calling for action to bring in new work. Privately, employees spoke of bitterness with the former management, ending a tradition of world-acclaimed craftsmanship. Peter Ryan, NBN News. Northbound New England highway traffic was stopped for an hour at Taro while police investigated the scene. It's believed the driver was turning right off the highway into Anderson Drive when she was hit by an oncoming sedan. An 83-year-old woman passenger was killed in the impact. 2 other people were taken to John Hunter Hospital with minor injuries. This is the second fatal crash at this intersection in 2 years.
This particular intersection is the worst we've got in the Maitland district, and it's by far the blackest of the black spots.
Police say there is an accident here almost every month and have called for greater driver awareness.